What's it going to be like? I know you focus on the game, but still, it's in Cincinnati. It's got to be kind of cool for you to go back home and coach a game.
Yeah, it's important, and this is my philosophy to just like the next game's the most important game of my career and our program, and that's how we've approached this. Our guys have been really good in preparation, getting ready for a very talented, very dangerous, very athletic, very well coached Cincinnati team. So, we could be playing it in my hometown, or we could be playing it on the face of the moon. You know what I mean? The surface of the moon, and it doesn't matter. They're going back to Cincinnati. Obviously, has some sentimental aspects of it. I've never coached there throughout my head coaching career, so it'll be fun going back. You know, that arena in downtown is where some of my first basketball memories were. I think I went to a Xavier Cincinnati game, and I was trying to think of the year. It was probably like 80 or 79. We got stuck in an elevator, scared the crap out of me, but that was like one of my first memories of going to a game, and I thought that was so cool being in an arena, and one I'll never forget. And then to be coaching there now, it's kind of a full circle moment.
Pat, kind of building off of that, obviously Louisville and Cincinnati have their own storied rivalry history. You played a year, you played Xavier, you've got a Xavier transfer on your roster. What does the rivalry aspect mean for you and the team?
Yeah, I mean, we all know in this state what a big rivalry Louisville and the team down the street is. And in Cincinnati, the Xavier Cincinnati rivalry is huge, and it's houses divided, just like houses are divided here in Louisville and in our state with that rivalry. Um, my wife started at the University of Cincinnati, and she got her degree from the College of Mount St. Joseph. But so many of my friends went to UC, and a ton of my friends went to Xavier. I went to Xavier, so I just remember, some of the great moments of those games. I remember, Coach Gillen and Coach Huggins getting into it after one of the games at the end. Obviously, everybody knows about the fight. I was on the team, wasn't on the floor much, but I was on the team when Xavier or UC was number one in the country, and we were supposed to be nothing, and made a buzzer beater. Lenny Brown hit the shot. They called it the shot heard around the I-275 loop. Made a shot at the buzzer to beat UC, and the famous Andy McWilliams, the longtime broadcaster, play-by-play voice of the Xavier Musketeers, said his famous line was, UC may be the number one team in the country, but tonight they're the number two team in the city of Cincinnati. That was kind of a famous thing, but, we got our tails kicked many, many years, and then we kicked their tails many, many years. So, but growing up, it's almost like, we played South Carolina State, and Eric, was on that Final Four team, and although I was a Xavier fan, just remembering that Final Four team in what was it, 1992, with Nick Van Exel and Corey Blunt and all those guys. So, it is kind of cool to be going back and playing the Bearcats. Kind of what I said before about playing in that arena, kind of a full circle moment.
Kind of a big picture basketball question for you, Coach. The NCAA published a report this week finding over, I think, a third of men's college basketball players are harassed by bettors. I guess, how have you seen that issue take root over the years of your coaching career, and then how do you try and kind of help your players deal with that?
Yeah, it's crazy. The first time I realized it, because I'm oblivious to all that for the most part, not that I have any problem or not passing judgment on anybody. I just hate to lose money, so like I hate to walk into a casino. I just hear that noise and it just gives me the heebie-jeebies because I just don't do it. So I don't really pay attention to it a lot. But I remember several years ago when we were at College of Charleston, and we were really good. It was, I think, our second last year there, and we were a top 25 team, and we were rolling. And we played somebody on the road, and then we had to stay, because I forget where it was like Delaware to Drexel or something like that. So we basically were staying in the same hotel. And we won the game. I think we played Delaware, I'm pretty sure. And, we get up the next day and we got like 2 days in between. So that's going to be kind of like a rest recovery day. And then we're going to practice and we're going to play the next day. And I'm down there and like getting my breakfast and I'm scooping my eggs. And I overhear a conversation between two of our players. And one of the guys like, I am getting crushed this morning on social media and I am getting blitzed. I mean, you should and they're laughing about it. So, but I mean, it could get really, really nasty, and they're showing me. I go, what are you guys talking about? And then they start telling me about prop bets, and I'm like, what the crap's a prop bet? And one of the guys was supposed to score this many points, and he only scored this many points, and I'm going, are you kidding me? Like, that actually goes on? And then he goes, Coach, it's unbelievable. We just get crushed. And the easy solution is don't read it. Put your phone down. And I try to have that conversation with my children, and I become Charlie Brown's teacher immediately. All they hear is want, 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 want. They ain't putting their phones down. Either are players. Ignorance is bliss, man. If you can block out the hate and the noise, and what a wonderful way to live. But nobody's doing that. But you're right. That is a real thing. And unfortunately, players, people these age, they get validation from these devices right here. And if they ever went and saw and spent time in the life of maybe a person that's giving them that type of scrutiny, and they're thinking, I'm listening, I'm paying heed to him, to her, to that person, but they do, and it's it's just a real thing, and it's something that we address with our guys constantly, and not just the hate from bettors when they lose a bet, but just the thump, as we talk about all the time, and that's people throwing praise at you and people throwing hate at you. As Nick Saban says, it's all rat poison. So, I talk so much about the audience of one, the Lord above, and just worrying about, about that audience. But it is real. And I know that's a long-winded question, but it really did open my eyes several years ago. And now, obviously, I'm way more attentive to it. And that's why I just tell the guys, like, be present, be where your feet are planted. Focus on the process. And just know the ebb and flows of your performance, the ebb and flows of the season, the ups and downs, the thump is going to happen. And just to try to focus on, loving your teammates and serving the person next to you and knowing that the results are going to take care of themselves. Way easier said than done.
The numbers that kind of jump out, they're number 2 in the nation in defensive efficiency,
Yeah.
and you guys, of course, been 2 in the nation offensive. But what's it been like looking at their defense and preparing for
Yeah, I mean, that's the obvious thing, that you talk about their defense. Like, they are an extremely dangerous offensive team as well, and they present a whole bunch of problems that we got to be on and we got to prepare for. You mentioned the defense. First of all, like, Wes's teams are always tough and nasty defensively. They're built that way. They have terrific size. They have terrific length. They play with phenomenal motors. Their scheme is very good. They turn you over. They deflect the ball. They disrupt. They have phenomenal rim protection. Like, you got to be on it, on your offensive execution, on your offensive scheme. We have our work cut out for them. I mean, they're number 2 in the country. There's 370-something teams in the country. They're number 2 in the country in defensive efficiency for a reason. But on the offensive end, they present a bunch of problems as well. The one thing that he's done is, with this group he's put together, like, they have several very, very dangerous three-point shooters. And even their 5, who's a terrific player, one of the, a really, really big-time transfer, who's long and athletic, and he's a real estate guy, ducks you in, he's phenomenal around the rim, he'll step out and shoot threes. They play very fast, they're athletic, their 4-man is a 6'11" 2-guard, if you want to call him a four-man. So, you know, they have a very dangerous and talented and well-coached team. So, you know, they have our guys' full attention, and it's going to be a big-time college basketball game.
Yeah, I was just curious, when you go back and watch the film of the game Saturday, what were some things that stand out to you as things you guys did particularly well, and then maybe some things that you need to clean up heading into this game?
For a split second, I said, "Who did we just play? Who did we just play? Who did we just play?" So I'm like, you know, I watched the tape 600 times as I always do, and we had a little bit of a longer week where the first day, you know, coming off the off day, and then we could really just kind of focus in on us and clean up some of the stuff from the last game. And you can kind of go back to a preseason practice, so to speak, where you're just working on the core principles of your offense and your defense without a slant in that practice toward your next opponent. And then, you know, we were able to turn our attention for a normal amount of preparation for Cincinnati. So, you know, how long do you got? You know, we could talk about transition defense. We could talk pick and roll defense. We could talk about two-hand closeouts. We could talk about being more good in our shifts. Talk about our pace. Get it in faster. Talk about our screening. You know, what do we do well? The way I am sometimes after games, the guys don't think we did anything well. So even though we did.
Pat, going back to the efficiency metrics real quick, while Ken Palm's really very high on you guys from an offensive standpoint, it's not quite as high defensively. So I'm curious, from your standpoint, what are some of your thoughts for the first four games in terms of the defensive efficiency?
Yeah, man, it's everything. I mean, I'm talking 75% of our practices from June 5th till now is with a defensive slant. And we got a bunch of guys that are bought in to our system. They play really hard. Every pick and roll is the most important pick and roll in the history of our program. You heard me say that before. Every transition defense, it's just like the philosophy of staying present, not listening to outside noise. It's the process of killing that pick and roll and being great in that transition, that 4 or 5 seconds, and then each closeout. So, man, it's the want to and the try hard for our guys, understanding that that's our ticket of being a really good defensive team. I love their mentality. I love their approach. And, you know, I'll let you know after a 4-minute segment in the first 4 minutes of the Cincinnati game where I think the state of our defense is.
Pat,
if you can find me, if you can come down and get me.
What is kind of your relationship with West? Do you know him fairly well?
Yep. You know, it's funny, like we played Jeff Bowles the other day, Wes, we all kind of like so many of the new wave of coaches, we kind of all came in together and grinded together and were assistants together. And, you know, the coaching fraternity, although, you know, the stakes have gotten a lot higher and the compensation has gotten a lot higher both for coaches and for players. You know, my mentor, Coach Presser, and we bring up Coach Huggins, who were bitter rivals. The two programs were bitter rivals, but Coach Presser and Coach Huggins were dear friends. And I just remember when Coach Huggins got sick, he had a heart attack. This was 20 years ago. And he was in Pittsburgh, and Coach Presser got on a plane and flew up and visited Coach Huggins in the hospital. And we had like a game the next day. Like my hope is that, and it's harder now, it just really is. I don't know if the scrutiny was the same back then. I don't want to say the pressure wasn't the same, but the stakes are higher, and it's just harder for us coaches to have that coaching fraternity. And I really think there has to be honor among thieves. It's a good thing for our profession, because we all know what we're all going through. You know, most people don't, but it's hard because it's so competitive. We're all trying to tear each other's faces off, both recruiting, on the court. And Wes and I are two guys that I would say have remained friends for a long time. He was at James Madison as a player, and then he was transferring, and ended up going to North Carolina. But I was an assistant, and we recruited him, and so I got to know him a little bit there. His dad went to Wake Forest. His dad was a supporter of our program, and I've gotten to know him really well over the years. So yes, Wes is a guy I know really well. I think he's doing a heck of a job.
Coach, ballpark, how many Kelseys are we going to see tomorrow night?
I knew I was going to get that question, and the normal answer would be 1 million. But, like, man, I don't know if you guys know this, but, like, the game of the decade is going on right next door at Paycor Stadium, the home of the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's so interesting because it has ramifications in my locker room. Elder High School is my home, the west side of Cincinnati. That is, I bleed purple. One of my best friends in the world is the offensive line coach, and he's been an assistant there forever and ever. They play our arch rival, St. Xavier, St. X, the Balmers, alma mater too, Kobe Rogers. So we are doing mass trash talking right now. And like there's going to be 25,000 people at that game. And the west side of Cincinnati, there's a whole lot of UC fans there, but there's a whole lot of Elder. And on the west side of Cincinnati, you're born on the west side, you're raised on the west side, your kids go to Elder, and then your kids' kids go to Elder, and then your kids' kids' kids go to Elder. So it's good. I get it. I'm talking to Elder Nation right now. I understand. Like, this is as big as it gets for a chance to go upstate. I mean, St. X's, Luke Kuechly played there. I mean, it's a great program. Kyle Rudolph played at Elder. The Bengals were nice enough to move the game from Mason because they sold out the game in like 30 minutes. And the Bengals offered the stadium, so now they moved down there. So, like, I don't know if anybody's going to be at the game. Because I'm just telling you, high school football in Cincinnati is huge, just like it is here in Louisville. So I got a bunch of nephews that are students at Elder, and last year the starting linebacker was my nephew. He now plays football at Thomas More in Cincinnati. So my mom won't be torn. I'd be interested to see what she would do last year. If Georgie was playing at Paycor and we're playing at Heritage Bank, my mom just might run back and forth between the two with her rosary. So I don't know.
Curious your thoughts on the progression of Adrian Woolley. It seems like he's coming off possibly his best game, at least statistically.
Yeah.
You know, putting it in the bucket as well as on the glass.
Adrian's a stud. He's doing great things for us. You can really see him coming on. I agree with you. Just tough as nails, man. Like that cat yesterday in practice tacks the rim, and guy goes up to challenge him at the rim, and like he gets hit and fall, and he's in midair, and I just close my eyes. And I hear thump, and I'm going, uh-oh. He's like, pops back up. He's into the next rep like it never happened. I mean, that dude is Alabama tough now, man, and terrific player, and he's going to have a big time season for us.
Coach, how have you seen Kaysen, his health and his progression like that? Is he kind of where you want him to be?
He's coming. He's coming, you know. I mean, he's still not right now, he's still not a full year from the injury. I think we got to remember that. I mean, he's still not a full year from when he got hurt. And then after he got hurt, it was another 2.5 weeks or so, I think, before his surgery. So I think we all got to remember that. And he's coming. He's coming. And the reason I know he's coming is because his process is great. He knows, like, there's a progression to this. He knows there's a confidence factor to this. He knows there's a physical factor to this. And all he's doing is being a great teammate, working his butt off in practice every day. And when he gets his minutes, like, he's kind of recovering on the fly. That getting experience on the fly. We weren't going to be able to just throw him in there and he was going to be the old Kaysen. But I think getting these minutes and then increasing his minutes, and then, you know, it's going to, when it hits, you know, it's really going to change our team.
Anything else for Coach?
Yeah, we saw the video of you getting the shoe at practice. How long did you able to keep that?
I'm serious about that. Like, people laugh about it, and that's fun. It's funny. It is funny. I can't stand when their shoes come off. Tie your freaking shoes. Like, that's fine. Like, you're going to see him, and Tommy puts it on social media, and that's great. Like, whatever. Promote our program. People laugh about it. It's fine. Tie your shoes. There's one thing that drives me nuts when your shoe comes off. I grabbed Kel's shoe, and I was trying to find the closest exit, and I was going to go outside, and I was going to throw that thing. Like, Zoo has his teammates back. Like, he's our guys, you're going to laugh. They love each other. And Zoo's like, I'm going to tackle Kelsey before he throws that ball outside, that shoe outside. And I'm trying to get around, and this big Greek dude is, like, chasing after me, and I see, like, something in his eyes. I get a little nervous. So I just threw it somewhere behind the water cooler. So next time I'm going to get outside, I'm going to throw that thing on the Floyd Street. I'll tell you that.